Knave of Hearts presents Before the Tone. Episode 3. Such Absurd Things as Sleep.
Hey, you've reached Daria. I'm not at the phone right now, so leave a message after the tone and I'll get back to you when I can. Hey, Daria. Remember me? Your loving sister? Well, I suppose we'll never know the answer to that question if you never answer your damn phone. I just want to know if everything is okay. If you are actually listening to my voicemails, I'd really appreciate a text or something. I'd wonder if you lost your phone, but I can tell you've charged it, so not really sure what to do about that. Maybe you're super busy, which is fine. Or maybe it's the middle of the night there. Wait, it's actually the middle of the night here. 1 a.m. is generally considered a time when the common man would do such absurd things as sleep. But I suppose I am no common man, and you are not one either, so do with that what you will, and text me. I'd appreciate it. On the bright side of your ignoring my calls, I am absolutely drunk on the ability to ramble on for as long as I please about my observations in the ongoing study of the human race that some common folk refer to as daily life. Let's see. Earlier today was the open house at my glass studio. I think I mentioned this to you a while back. They invited me to do some demos, which I was more than happy to do. I haven't really had the chance to get into the studio the past 2 weeks, and I missed it. I really like getting to shape the glass from something so amorphous into usable shapes and objects. It's just amazing how malleable it is. It's a really neat material. Plus, this is a cold, cold world. And there's no solution better than spending time in a 100-degree studio. It was also really nice to hang out with Bree and Tom, who are now the lead instructors. I'm really happy for them. So for the open house, they had an audience in part of the studio to see what everything was about. Everyone seemed really interested and nice, but there was this one guy. I don't know. Something was creepy about him. I let Tom know, so he kept an eye out until the guy left. Nothing happened with him, just bad vibes, I guess. But yeah, for my demo, I decided to go with making some nice vases. I made them drop vase style, which is always really fun, and they look very flashy to the viewing audience. We have a drop vase I made at Mom's house. It's on the mantle, I believe. The reddish-orange one? Yeah. I love making those. They're just, it's really fun. And it was such a good time doing the demos, especially after that guy left. I'm not sure what bugged me so much about him. Anyway, yeah. I really enjoyed it, so I scheduled some studio time in the coming few weeks. Bree suggested I look into doing some assistant teaching there, which would be awesome, and I am definitely going to consider it. I'll have to see how busy I end up being, though. My class starts tomorrow, so hopefully I'll get an idea of how bad the workload is, so I can get back to her on that. It would be really nice to have them pay me for playing with lava instead of the other way around, so I am definitely hoping that works out. Today was also my first real day of work. No shadowing, no working with Danny. I just got off. It's around 1:20 a.m. It was good, I think. It went well. I came in a little early to meet up with the consultants who I met the other day. It was nice to see some friendly faces, especially after the death glare gifted to me by the as-of-yet nameless secretary. Anton was finishing up some work, but Saphira and Buck offered to give me the tour they promised, which I accepted. I was not particularly thrilled about traversing the hallways and stairs and shit, but I was very curious about the building. It is a weird building! And my curiosity trumped my discomfort in this situation, as it often does. I was also eager to get to know Saphira and Buck a bit. They seemed nice enough when I met them, but our interaction was pretty stilted, what with Eve watching us the whole time. The tour was much better. It wasn't perfect, I was still kind of off balance, so I wasn't entirely my ever-vibrant self. But it was fun anyway. I like Saphira. She strikes me as just very competent. She spoke a bit about her job doing strategic consulting, as well as the company as a whole. She had a very dry wit that would come out when you least expected it. This was in great contrast to Buck, who had more of a light, bubbly sort of humor. He got to talking about liking the people at Atlas and that he gets to work with his best friends. Saphira gave him a sort of affectionate shove when he said that and made some snipe about not all Atlas workers being so fun to work with. At my raised eyebrow, she said that Eve could be a bit much sometimes with all of her projects. I agreed and told them how I was interviewed for an entirely different job. Nobody seemed surprised. I guess that's not overly unusual for her. Whatever. I didn't ask about the weird hallways, since that probably would have sounded, insane, and neither of them seemed affected by them. Oh, God, I hope they didn't think I was drunk or something. But I did ask about the secretary and if they knew what her deal was. Buck said that she could be pretty yikes sometimes, and Saphira added that some of the employees were pretty close-minded about newcomers. Whatever that means. Still no clue what her name is, though. At this point, my shift was about to start, so I bid them farewell and stumbled my way upstairs to my office. I did get to see Danny briefly when I came in, which was nice. They refreshed me on some of the basic stuff, and they let me know what was on the schedule, a meeting with some business people for a patent thing. I thought it was a little weird, odd, to have a meeting so late, but I think they traveled in and are still on another time zone. Danny had to head out pretty soon after that, so I said goodnight and settled into my first night in the observatory. I've decided against listening to music until I get situated because I don't want to get distracted and miss what's going on and mess up using the equipment or anything. It is really interesting to watch a building as a silent observer. With all the cameras, I feel a lot like Hera's guard Argus. You may recall him as the guy who was turned into a peacock. The man with 1,000 eyes. I may need to wrestle through my books to find my copy of D'Aulaire's Greek myths. Well, okay, fine. It might be, technically, your copy, but I stole it, so it's mine now. Anyway, I'll reread the myth of Io, which features Argus. I may also make a point of reading any descriptions of the Titan Atlas that I run into. That should be interesting. Yeah. Moving forward, I am sure you are curious to know what I saw on the silver screen this fine evening. Screen? Screens. Whatever. And let me tell you, it was very interesting. Okay, maybe interesting is too strong of a word. There wasn't anything particularly exciting going on. Having gotten a little more familiar with the building on the tour, I spent some time getting to know what it's like through the CCTV, cycling through the various floors and camera areas. I've said this before, but there are a lot of cameras. And it's not just exclusive to spots where outside people could be in, like meeting rooms or waiting areas. There are just as many in the regular office spaces. Most of the building was empty while I was there because I have the late evening shift. I'm generally supposed to be one of the last people in the building. I'm not really sure if there is someone who takes the shift after me or if they just lock up when I leave. I'd bet the former, but if that's the case, I've never met the person from the next shift. So, I guess the moral of the story is that if you're looking to rob Atlas Consulting, you should do it at about 1:05 a.m. Since I wasn't listening to music, I decided to do what Danny mentioned and adopt a room. Most of the building was empty, like I mentioned, but I found the place where Saphira, Buck, and Anton were working, so I kind of listened in. Oh, that sounds very weird. Oh no. And a little stalkery. Oh dear. As we all know, the best way to start off potential friendships is by watching and listening to them when you're not in the room. I mean, that is my literal job, though, so yeah, I don't know. You've lost the right to judge me until you answer your phone when I call. Anyway, the consultants, they have a nice work area. It's an open office space that clearly has more than 3 people working there the bulk of the time. The building being empty normally creates a liminal space, but that wasn't really the case here. They had their desks all close together in one part of the office, making it seem a lot more lively and occupied. Buck and Saphira have 2 desks facing each other, and Anton's faces the other way with his back to Buck. They've got more or less professional-looking desks. Saphira is clearly the most organized, and Buck is very clearly the least organized. You can see the border between the 2 desks very clearly with all the papers strewn about. Although I will say that they all have excellent laptop case stickers. Having located them on the cameras, I tuned into the audio for that room. It was mostly them working, but I got to hear some snippets of conversation. I won't recount them for you, not because I wouldn't, you know full well that I would, but because, tragically, I do not remember what was said word for word. What I can say is that I'm fairly certain that Buck and Anton were together at some point and are currently not together. It may be an on-again, off-again type thing, I'm not sure. There were, however, some very pointed comments that tell me they are still on good terms, but there's a great deal of salt. So much salt. It is entertaining to watch. Here's what we know so far. Buck and Anton lived together until recently, but Buck and Saphira currently live together. I don't think Buck and Saphira are together since Saphira's got a big ol' lesbian pride flag on her laptop, of which I approve very strongly. Side note, it is actually nice to know that for all the weirdness. It seems like Atlas isn't, homophobic or anything. Like, Saphira has her pride flag out, people seem to respect Danny's pronouns. It's nice to not have to worry about that sort of stuff, especially on top of worrying about funky depth perception, which, by the way, in case it was not clear from what I said about the tour, has not gotten better. I've scheduled an eye doc appointment in a couple weeks, so hopefully that'll help, but frankly, I doubt that it will. I mean, it only affects me in that building, so I'm not really sure what's up with that. Either way, a new prescription will be good because eyesight is nice to have, and ya boy does not have good eyesight naturally, as you may recall. Oh my gosh, do you remember that time when I lost my glasses at that convention and had to cling blindly to you the whole time? Good times, good times. Anywho, what was I talking about? Right, the thrilling office soap opera that I'm viewing on the many screens I'm paid to watch my coworkers on. It's not stalking if you're paid to do it. Yeah. In conclusion, they seem cool, and I feel a little bit weird about watching them, but not that much. Ugh, I could very much go for a coffee. Should I stop at Dunkin' Donuts? Yeah, I'm gonna stop at Dunkin' Donuts. I'm gonna get an espresso so I can go to sleep when I get home. Hold on a sec, I'm gonna order.
Hello, welcome to Dunkin' Donuts. What can I get you tonight?
Hi, could I get a medium espresso? Thanks.
You've got it. That's gonna be $2.55.
All right, thank you. Actually, I have to go. I'm probably overreacting a bit. There was some guy in there, not doing anything suspicious or anything, just drinking his coffee. But I don't know. I think it was that same guy from the glass studio earlier. Something isn't right there. Why was he in a coffee shop at 1 a.m.? Well, I mean, that's not weird, I guess. I was in a coffee shop at 1 a.m. I don't know. I just didn't want to be in there with him. Just trusting my instincts, I guess. They've gotten me this far without getting murdered, so yeah. I'm almost home anyway, so I'd better go. Hope you're doing good. I miss you. I'll call you again tomorrow so you know I haven't been murdered and you can hear about my weird job and, my first day of class is tomorrow, so I'll tell you about that. Yeah. Good night, Daria.
This episode has featured the voices of Anna Stein as Mack, Emma Johanna Puranen as Daria, Kiran Kumar as the Barista, and Rebecca Hansson in the credits. It was written by Anna Stein, with script editing by Sarahlily Stein. Sound design and dialogue editing were done by Katharine Seaton. The theme music was composed by Duck Edwards, featuring score by Arhynn Descy. It was directed by Anna Stein. Special thanks to our Indiegogo backers, E.L. Thackeray, Audrey Martin, and Caitlin McGlynn, and to our Monarch and Spacetime tier backers, Jacob Stein and Steven Stein, as well as to everyone who backed the campaign. For updates and ominous messaging, follow us on Twitter and Tumblr at Knave of Hearts AD. Disclaimer: any resemblance to persons living or dead is entirely coincidental.
I'm working on a little time capsule project to send a message to the future, and these recordings are a part of it. This recorder, our payload, and there's a whole group of us working on it.
Half of the things I want to build won't work anyway, and the end of the world isn't going to stop me from trying.
There's always a danger to building something like this. A miscalculation, a wrong decimal, hell, even a drop of fuel too little, and this whole thing could go sideways.
So it's not like you have to be a rocket scientist to build a rocket. Never mind.
The Earth is fucked. It's broken, and it's awful, and it's tearing itself apart. And there's nothing any of us can do to stop it.
What Will Be Here is a sci-fi audio drama about living on a doomed Earth and building things anyway. Find out more about the show at whatwillbehere.crd.co and subscribe on your podcatcher of choice today.